Just picked up these Rigid Industry truck light LEDs for, these are labeled for the Wrangler JK, but they're just 7-inch. They come with the truck light anti-flicker modules. So I'm going to go ahead and install these guys. To get them in, you need to, at the very least, get your grill leaned forward. But because I have the winch in there, I'm going to have to take it out. So you've got to pop all the pop clips along the top and then just pop out the tabs along at each driving light, turn signal, and along the bottom of it. So we're going to get that guy out and then start taking the headlight out. There's these, I think they're T20. I'm going to check once I get it out. Screws that hold the bezel in. So depending on whether or not you have an aftermarket grill like that or stock, may change your approach on how you do this. Because you most likely, it just depends. If you're lifted, you may not have adjusted your headlight beam, and you're really going to want to do that with LEDs so you don't piss off drivers in front of you. So if you're going to need to adjust them and you have kind of one of these angry aftermarkets grills, the cutouts don't leave enough access to get to these adjustment screws. There's one right there, I believe. No, there's only that one up there. So there's that one on the driver's side or passenger side, and I believe we're just looking for another one. I don't see another one. There's the same on the driver's side, and you won't be able to get to those with the depending on the grill type. So we're going to leave the grill off, get these installed, wait for it to get a little darker out, and check them out before we put the grill back on. For reference, the bezel screw is a T15, not a T20, so this is a T15 Torx. Once you have the 4 T14 Torx screws out, you can take your bezel off, and then all you're going to need to do is slide back your red lock tab here. I need 2 hands to get in there. It's pretty stiff. Slide that guy back. You may need a pry tool, and then pop the connector off. So next what we need to do is install our anti-flicker module. This is also adapting the connector type. So with this kit, you need this guy to install it for this particular, for the JKs, because they use this more rounded connector with a horizontal 3 pins, and this has them in a different pattern, so you'll need it. Get it in there. So we'll find a place to tie this guy down inside the housing somewhere. It's a fairly large unit. We'll have to find a home for it in there and be able to tie it against this loom. Also have to see what kind of depth we need for our light here. These are, oh shoot, I got to touch that one. These are pretty heavy duty. They're actually glass lens headlights. These are made really nice, much nicer. I've had the more generic. Can you hear it? Yeah, that may actually be plastic. Feels, it's probably plastic. I can't tell. It seems like glass, but either way, these are real heavy. Much nicer than the kind of the knockoff ones that you can get for $100. So if you can get a good deal on these, I found these on a OfferUp for like $220, and the guy had never used them, so it was a sweet deal because it's usually about $500–600. Anyway, we're going to see how this all fits together, what kind of space we have, where we're going to tie that anti-flicker module. Ended up installing the anti-flicker module up here on this wire loom. I tried it on a couple different brackets, and nothing was working out so well, so I've got it on this wire loom. I've got everybody plugged in, and I'm going to try to sneak the main harness back behind here and run it down because there's quite a bit of length on it, and we'll see how that goes. All right, so there it is. Fit in pretty nice. See, you can barely see, or can you? Yeah, it's right there. You can barely see that anti-flicker module right there. Tucked in pretty good. I used 2 zip ties. And let's see if we can catch the harness under here. Yeah, you can see the harness straight down a little bit. I'm gonna check under there again just to make sure. I may zip tie it into something else to avoid it from rattling around, but it's not too bad up in there. It's really hard to get a view. But I think that's just a sticker in there, so yeah, it's not really rubbing up against anything. So we're gonna fire it up and see if it works. You can definitely see a difference there between how yellow the stock is and how white this guy is. Not seeing any flickering right now. This is low beam. Switch it over to highs to make sure it works. So real quick, kind of see it on the wall. It looks like it's pretty close to the stock in aim. So figure out where I want to be on that, and may not have to do any adjustment. The high is working, you just can't really see it. It comes in on the bottom side. We're gonna go ahead and do the driver's side. So on the driver's side, I managed to zip tie the anti-flicker module down to one of the chassis cross braces there. So that's nice and tight and should be good. Already got the main harness connected, and then get our hookup for the bulb, and we'll start fishing it in. All right, so they both function. Not seeing any flickers. Looking pretty good. Got the high beams on right now. I'm standing in front of one of them. Looks like the beam pattern's pretty good. It's hard to tell with that door in there. Kind of setting everything in, but wait for it to get a little darker and adjust everything up. Definitely well made, nice and heavy lights. I'm not sure if they're worth the $500-600 price tag, but I think if you can get them on sale in the $200-300 range, I think they're worth getting. After mounting the driver anti-flicker module down to this support, I decided to move the passenger side over to it as well and be off the wire loom. And actually on the passenger side, because there's no loom running directly over it, it mounts down real nice right to it. So that's it's a lot better mounted. Just be careful right here to have some clearance. This is, I believe, this is the impact sensor for airbag. I think it is. I'm not 100% certain on that, but it's some kind of, looks like it's some kind of accelerometer. So just don't have it touching that guy. You should be all right. Quick note, when you're mating this this connector off the headlight unit, I'm not sure what style of connector this is, but the tabs, the blade tabs are not in here very secure. It's kind of a soft plastic, so if this end's really stiff, it wants to push them backwards. So make sure you seat them back in. Something like a flathead, you can fit it in here real nice. Just make sure you get each one of these seated in, get it flush. I use a little bit of dielectric grease to help get it in a little more easily. Then I think I'm going to go ahead and also wrap this guy back a little bit with just some fabric tape, automotive fabric tape, just to be safe. But one thing, make sure you get these in, because the red side, positive side, actually had a little bit of protrusion, so if that had contacted a chassis, it would have blown the fuse at the very least. So just be aware of that. So here's the passenger side with it taped up here and just run down the loom. So this is pretty much what they have in cars. I bought this on Amazon. It's just a fabric tape, but it's nice. It can help with abrasion, and yeah, it looks a little nicer that way. So we're gonna button this up. We're gonna do the wrap on the driver's side too. Then we'll be all set. One final note about putting in these Rigid Industry headlights. If you have one of these aftermarket grills, I think this is, I think it's American Modified Vader. You have to cut away quite a bit of the material. You can see, I didn't do the greatest job in the world, but from a distance it's not too bad. I had to cut away a lot. I mean, this is all contacting the light. I had to cut away a lot of material in here and up under the brow to clear it. Same thing on this side. A lot of cutaway. If you don't, you can't really get the clip on the top seated, and it pushes and it'll throw off your aiming of the light. So you really want to get it to clear the entire lens so it's not rubbing up against it as well. The other thing is, even after cutting all that away, you still can't get to the adjustment screw. I could cut a little bit more away, but I think it'll take away from the look. So to adjust it, you need to release the grill. So again, you want to adjust them before you make your, or before you install your grill if you're not using a factory grill. That's it. I think they turned out real nice. Combination of the aggressive grill and the way these lights look, even with them off, I think it's a pretty good looking deal. The beam pattern on them's okay. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily better than some of the cheaper aftermarkets. There is kind of a hot spot even after you adjust them properly, but you know, it's still not a factory. It's designed well, but still better than the factory bulbs, which are very dim. And the aim was bad on this anyway, because it was lifted before I got it, and whoever lifted it did not adjust the lenses properly. So I'm sure it was shining in people's rearview mirrors. With the dimmer lights, I don't think it bothered them as much, but if I had that with the LEDs, I'd probably get flashed a lot. So anyway, it's aimed properly now, about 3 feet, about 25 from a wall, 3 feet high. So anyway, I think it looks pretty good.